Welcome to the PropTech Podcast. It's Kylie Davis here, and I'm delighted to be your host as we explore the brave new world where technology and real estate collide. I passionately believe we need to create and grow a sense of community between the innovators and real estate agents, and sharing our stories is a great way to do that. So the aim of each episode of the PropTech Podcast is to introduce our listeners to a PropTech innovator who's pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And we'll explore the issues and challenges being raised by the tech and how they can create amazing property experiences. So my guest in this episode is Kate Chalk, Chief Executive of a South Australian-based startup called Reso. Have I said that right, Kate?
You have said that right, Reso.
Reso, fantastic. So you might have heard about them in their previous iteration when they were called ReBid. So Reso are working to make the private treaty process of making offers and negotiation more transparent while still offering the real estate agent complete control. So let's dive right in. Kate Chalk, welcome to the PropTech Podcast.
Hello, Kylie, and thank you so much for having me.
No, my pleasure. So we gave a quick overview in the intro, but tell us what your elevator pitch is for Reso. How do you explain what you do?
So to agents, how we explain ourselves is that we help an agent facilitate a paperless transaction, particularly in the private treaty space. Mm-hmm. So through our integrations with REI forms and lots of CRMs, we can collate buyer information on an agent's behalf and all their special conditions, so agents can get to contract quicker. So there's a seamless flow of data from the sales agency agreement, or depending on what it's called in each state, because obviously each state is different, right through to the contract. So we're really trying to minimise how much an agent spent in that what at the moment is a manual process.
Right. So what are the pain points that you're solving with Reso?
So the pain points are really around that we're human. Mm-hmm. And the consumer's behaviour and expectations have changed, and our behaviour, what we expect has changed as well. So obviously the consumer is really connected with information that they can get online, particularly about the property. They've got obviously the computer in their hand constantly. They have the currency of convenience, I think, is what everyone's talking about it now. So that just the immediacy that they expect. But we're human, so agents are only human. So what can we automate about the process as much as we possibly can, so they can still give a really high level of service and create some transparency for their buyers and vendors.
Yeah. So I guess I know from the research that I did when I was at CoreLogic, like buyers have a lot of complaints about the buying process. And one of their biggest complaints is always around that transparency. So they don't know has their offer been accepted? Has it even been, has the agent even received it? Is it even in the ballpark? What's the next step? There's a whole lot of, opacity around that whole buyer experience that, as I understand it, you guys deal with.
So basically, so with buyers, obviously, one of your podcasts, I think, Kylie, or one of your, I think I read it on one of yours. So 58% of buyers receive average to poor service. Mm-hmm. And they're really looking for that extra transparency around the buying process and just even the what's next. So I think with what happens with agents, they can invite everyone into a Reso sale that they meet. So whether that's from their the database or they meet them at opens. And what happens from there is that they can, every time they update the sale, so the agents are kept in the centre and they basically negotiate as they normally would. But every time there's a change in the sale, everyone gets instantly updated by SMS and email. So that's, right. We're only human. So I think it's very difficult. A lot of agents tell me that they often just focus in on the top 3 offers or the top 3 people that they're going to be most interested. This way, I think it's really this way. Basically, all buyers get to be kept informed. An agent said to me the other day that she had I think it was a block of land, so she had a lot of people interested, and she always, there was quite a few interested people. I think there was about 13, and she focused on the top 3 who she thought were, but she invited everyone in, and it was actually about the fifth offer, the lowest offer, was actually the one that ended up buying the property through the transparency of the whole process. So she was really surprised about that.
Right. So let's just step this through. So I'm an agent and I'm at my open for inspection, and I meet a whole bunch of people who come and look at the house that I'm showing, and they say that they're interested. The question I then ask them is, are you interested in buying the property? Would you like to be part of my Reso updates? Or
So it probably starts a little bit before that. So depending on the state you're in, so they've obviously just got the listing agreement from the agent, so they can actually set up the Reso sale straight from the listing agreement in REO forms. It's just literally a press of the button. They set the sale up. They upload all the documents from the relevant documents. So in some states it's a Form 1, it might be the floor plan, it might be a draft contract, all the information that the buyers, that you often would be emailing buyers, all that information separately. So all that's loaded up. You're just sitting in registration. It's all free to do all that for the agent. Then you go obviously to the open inspection, as you said, and you can, depending on how you're using your CRM, what CRM you're using, you can literally invite buyers to view the documentation. So most agents are using it. So would you like to be kept informed about the sale, or do you want to view if you'd like to view the documentation? So they just get a text message immedately as soon as the agent invites them, either through the CRM or just manually. They can do it just on their phone. All they need is their phone number. And they can then view all those documents 24/7. So when the agent's ready to make an offer, I should say when the buyer's ready to make an offer, the agent can open up the sale, and that starts the Reso process. So an agent the other day was saying she was going from one open to another, as they do on a Saturday racing. She only gave herself 20 minutes. She needed a bit longer, she said. She got a phone call from a buyer who was saying, I want to make an offer from that last property. She had the sale set up. She literally pulled over to the side of the road, invited them into the sale, and by the time she got to the property 15 minutes later, there was actually an offer for the next open. So it's just so quick. So what in that manual process, what would often maybe, like if you sent them an offer, or you've been talking to them, it might take 24 hours to get that back, because it's so instant. With the feedback from the agents has just been how quick the offers can come in, because it's so easy for the buyers to access that information and make an educated decision, because they can see all the documents and then make an offer.
Cool.
So it's really, really easy.
So I guess there's a couple of areas where where it's automating and streamlining the process. So from an agent's point of view, when I'm creating the paperwork and the contracts, because I've just listed a property, I've just got the agreement to list. Then I do one more thing, which is put all of those documents into my Reso platform. Which means that I don't have to send them all out individually every time someone says that they want to, that they're interested in a property, or I don't have to go through all my email and find that template that I set up for 37 Potter Street and accidentally send them 59 Smith Street or whatever.
That's right.
And so look, I think, and then basically you're also streamlining the open process or the follow-up process, because you're allowing people to see everything that they need to see in a really quick turnaround. Fantastic.
That's right. So the people are, obviously everyone wants transparency, but also transparency as much as just being able to see things when you want to see them and knowing what the next steps are. Like, it's not some big secret anymore. People are expecting to be able to know what they want to do next. They don't want to, I understand, I was in sales for many, many years, and one of the things we always got taught was to hold something back so you could then give more information. But, the more you hold things back from the consumer now, but that's how we were trained, because then it gave them a reason to ring. You could give that. It then gave you a reason to ring them and contact them again, and it made you look a lot more helpful. But now, their consumers are just so connected that they expect all that, and they get a bit. If they can't access it immediately when they want to, and of course that's after hours often. So I think that's just transparency is not just about knowing where you stand in the process, which I'll get to shortly, but it is about knowing what the next steps are as well.
I think it's great too, because you're basically making agents know, you're removing the bottleneck of an individual agent's ability to respond to a phone call or an email or a text message or something, aren't you? And
that's right.
that kind of work has intensified enormously over the last sort of 5 years as we've all, gone from just taking phone calls to responding to emails to then responding to text messages to responding to messages online or Facebook or however people want to communicate. Right.
Yeah. And there's also, it's really interesting actually, a lot of the agent feedback has been around, because of the text messages that come from the platform as soon as they open up the offers or they progress the sales some way, the offers are coming in faster and they're getting a quicker response from buyers, because you can email everyone all the time, but people are getting thousands of emails. And so, yes, we back it up with emails, but I think text messaging is that immediacy. So being able to text message out whoever's in the platform and have said they're interested. So we're really trying to take that buyer, to help the agent take the buyer on a journey of getting them to, getting to the, the contract a lot quicker and the sale. So I think that's really important. The other thing we have found from the feedback is that, well, there's actually two other things. That because really the problems we're solving are around admin. So some of the operations managers or sales support, or depending on what agency you're in, they're really loving it, because often they're the ones that do set up all the sales. So it's so quick for them to be able to load, like I saw the sales coming through this morning, the property's being loaded this morning, and it was just sales support going bang, 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 and there's obviously a sales support person in one particular agency loaded 10 up this morning, because obviously they had offers in and they hadn't loaded, for whatever reason. So it's really quick for them to do that. So to load that sale up and have it ready. So the sales support people are loving it. But then an agent said to me the other day that, I feel like I've got a second PA, because I've got someone, while I'm driving around and doing, what I need to do, which is what I'm best at, is talking to buyers and talking to vendors and communicating with vendors and doing appraisal meetings. This is all going on in the background and helping me, and everyone's getting that automatic response that they expect these days.
And so I guess too, if the sale changes for any reason, so if there's a price revision or conditions change or anything like that, then that's also part of the automatic update to everybody who's on that list of interested parties.
That's right. So we've got a lot of email templates in the platform. So an agent, if there is a price reduction or they just want to let everyone know about something that's changed, then that goes out immediately as well to them. So,
Let's just pause there for a moment and hear a quick word from our sponsors. If your business is growing quickly, you need to scale your team. Bepo is an Australian outsourcing company that specialises in helping real estate and technology businesses to grow. Outsourcing is not just about bringing on staff with a lower cost base. Bepo recruits and manages staff based in the Philippines who will become full-time members of your team. They will help you identify the key skill sets, the employment history and other attributes that you need from your employees, and match your requirements with the right staff. Bepo will also help you to break down your structure, job descriptions, task management, and to understand how having a virtual team fits into your organisation. Done properly, outsourcing can help you understand the internal processes of your business, drive your efficiency, and provide you with a roadmap for growth. So talk to Bepo and scale your business for success. So Kate, how did you get involved in Reso?
Basically, I got involved in Reso because I got approached by one of the founders, because my background was in sales, and I got approached by one of the founders. So he is a buyer's agent and a valuer. So he was often and he was often he also worked on behalf of vendors sometimes. So he's an agent, but he generally worked in that buyer's. And so he was frustrated with that process of often having money left in his pocket, where we thought he could have, the vendor could have got a bit more money. And that's where that ranking that came about. So he came through because of my sales background and basically dealing with a lot of the human touch, and just working through how we can. I love sorting through solutions and working out how things can be made easier. So that's how I came on board.
Fantastic. So there's a few there's a few other startups that are in this space at the moment,
Yep.
aren't there, that are doing this whole sort of negotiation and transparent kind of process thing. So what makes Reso different to some of your competitors?
Okay, good. Yep, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. So basically, there are about 3 I know of, and they're generally what we would consider an auction. So basically, that obviously create that transparency, but you can actually see the offers, so all the other buyers can see the offers. So if where Reso is different is we are ultimately an admin to get to contract execution as quickly as we can, because we collect buyer data all the way through, so there might only be one offer. But if you've got a lot of offers and you want to try and elevate the competitiveness of the sale and help you negotiate, you can press a ranking button where we rank the offers. So the buyer will get a text message saying the agent has chosen to rank the offers. Your offer is ranked 2 out of 4 offers currently in the platform.
Right. So, and that's the old ReBid angle to it?
Yeah, that's the ReBid angle. So that sits inside it, because how we came about, we started with ReBid, and agents were saying, look, we're not, obviously it was a drop in the market. They're saying often we've only got 1 or 2 offers, but we need to be able to automate that process and go to contract and collect all that data. So we know we need to automate this process. We know that. Yeah. Can we have, but we may only need the ranking sometimes, and so ReBid now sits within the platform, and so we've got some agents that use it and some agents don't. It's just when they feel the need, and it helps them negotiate.
Right. So if so the difference between Reso and some of the other startups that are in the space, and I think Open's one, and then Dave's.
Yeah, so Market Buy and Open. Yep. So they're basically, they probably wouldn't say that they're similar, but from my perspective, they look pretty similar in that buyers can see, like it's an auction online with conditions, so buyers can see where other people, so they'll be going up $1,000 or $500 until that comes about. Some people aren't going to be comfortable with using that, and obviously auctions are a massive part of Australia's real estate landscape. So everyone says you can't beat an auction, because if that's true transparency.
Unless you're in Perth, no one likes auctions in Perth.
No one likes, and so obviously we're dealing with a lot of Western Australian agents. Why open negotiation have done well is because there is no auctions in Perth. So this is like a hybrid of an auction and a private treaty process. But where I think probably the difference is when you use the ranking in Reso, which obviously we call ReBid ranking, is that the difference in the offers can be substantial. So it could be still $10,000 between the difference, whereas maybe in those other platforms there may only be $500 difference or whatever.
But if I'm in, even if the ReBid side of it is being used, then if I'm a buyer, I can't see what everyone else has offered. I can just sort of put forward my best offer. Is that?
That's right, your best offer. That's right.
And then you'll tell me if I'm in the ballpark or not.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, also just a little side note. So if the fellas from Open or Market Buy are listening to this podcast and they want us to want to come on the show, drop me a line and we'll organise that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, that's good. I think there's a place for everyone, to be honest with you. So I'm really, and I'm sure we can learn a lot from them. And so we don't really consider that. We've actually got some agents in Perth who use Open and us. Because they see us as 2 different. So rather than so everything's so because some people want the full auction sort of, or feeling like an auction, whereas obviously we're not in that space. I think so an agent can open up the offers with us, and then they can decide later if they want to expose that full transparency of ReBid or not. So it's leaving them to decide, and that's why vendors are really liking it. Like in a listing presentation, if people are talking about Reso, they're talking about, look, ideally we want you to get a lot of offers on the property, but if there's only one, this is obviously a process, an online process that's been automated to digitise all that and collect all the buyer data, and makes it really easy for buyers to put in offers at 9 o'clock at night, or if they've got their kids' swimming lesson or what have you. But if the sale, which hopefully happens, really hots up, and and for some reason we haven't chosen to auction it, for whatever reason that is, we've got this ReBid process. So it just leaves another gear for the agent to go up if they need to.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that agent control is really important, isn't it? So it's completely in the agent's hands as to how much they're going to expose and which
I think that's important because as the sale goes on, it is critically important because it's all about momentum, in sales and in particularly in real estate. So the more momentum you can create, the better. And obviously the consumers are looking for a faster, and that's the vendors and obviously the buyers. They're looking for fast conclusions as much as they possibly can. So we had an agent last week close out a sale within 24 hours. He said, I just would not have been able to get to contract in 24 hours. I just physically would not have been able to. And another agent had, he actually, and that's actually another thing, the point I wanted to make. I think, it's critical that one of the pain points it is talked about a little bit, but I think the more agents I speak to, and obviously I'm trying to speak to as many agents as we can all the time and just pull apart the workflow, is just how stressed they are.
Oh, yeah.
And particularly this consumer expectation about the 24/7 that they have to be on 24/7. I mean, all these, I was talking to an agent the other day. She's sitting there with a 13-year-old child in the car and about to go in to get an offer on paper, and said, this is the last time you'll have to wait in the car for half an hour while I get an offer, because it's not fun, because the new process I've gone to means everything will be on, the buyers will be online. I'll be talking to them on the phone. I'm thinking how happy children, happy agents, I say.
Right. Mummy will leave the windows open for you.
I know, exactly, that's right. And another agent said she was at home. It was pretty hot, and the kids had jumped in the pool. So she had these two kids in the pool, and then someone wanted to put an offer in on the. So she's out by the pool watching the kids, but she's actually literally inviting them into Reso, and they're putting offers online. And she said,
"That's how you want to do it.
That's how you want to do it. That's how." But that's life. You have to be able to. If they want 24/7 access to consumers, how is an agent going to balance that with the stress of it?
No.
And I think that's a really important point that we're, important pain point that helps the agent in the long term.
So one of the benefits I see that it could work for you guys as well is that if an agent, agents often, every time you sell a property, often there's buyers who have missed out, who are unhappy. But if you've already, when your next property comes up, you'd be able to really easily, and you've set it up in Reso, you'd be able to really easily kind of email your buyer base of previously disappointed buyers and say, hey, you missed out on that 3-bedroom in Ross Trevor or whatever last week, but we've just got this new one on the market, best offers in to help you kind of even work out where your
so you can
transfer
that over. So I think with the integration with CRMs, a lot of it's one way at the moment. As we build up, we're obviously talking to them, because obviously key CRM, obviously agents are sitting in their CRMs as much as we can. But I think that's really, like, we've got this. So David Howe's obviously our developer, who's and we've got this rule about if it can't be clicked on a mouse, then it probably shouldn't be in there. So we're trying to do as much clicking on a mouse and not too much typing for the agents.
Clicked on a screen.
So click on a mouse if you've got a laptop, or but click on a screen if it's on your phone. So that's really critically important. Absolutely. Cool. So that's right.
And a shout out to David Howe from Dynamic Methods. That's where Dave's from?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
So where is Reso in the startup journey right now? Like, what are the challenges that you guys are facing? How new are you?
I think agents have been concerned that we're trying to take we'll go direct to the buyers and everything. I think that's probably the major concern, and also, agents are absolutely inundated with what they know they need tech, but what tech, and I think, so it's about just helping an agent. I think what's fantastic about Reso is that it's actually really easy to test. So with some tech, you just have to go in and you've got to actually try and change the workflows. There's quite a bit of workflow that you need to change as an agency. So the principal's trying to make those decisions. Whereas this one, what we're finding how it's working the best is a couple of agents try it, and then they're the ones that say, hey, you should try this. This is, I've saved 9 hours a sale. As an agent said to me, I saved 9 hours on that last sale just by using Reso. Yep. You should give it a go. So I think that you can really easily test it. You don't have to change a lot of processes. So I think getting over that stigma of we're trying to take people's, take agents' jobs is probably one of the key challenges that we had. But that's why we went to the REIs and spoke to them, and that's why they, in South Australia and Western Australia, they backed us immediately because they could see that we're keeping the agent totally relevant and totally in the middle of the transaction, and not some. So obviously they wouldn't have done that unless they had the best interest of agents at heart.
Let's just take a short break, and now a word from our sponsors. As we all know, the problems of the world can always be solved with good company and good wine. And for a truly great wine, check out Smidge Wines from the McLaren Vale in South Australia. Smidge Wines has been rated 5 red stars by the James Halliday Australian Wine Companion since 2017. So whether you love a big bold Shiraz, a beautiful well-rounded Cabernet Sauvignon, or a Montepulciano, a Tempranillo, or a Fiano, check out smidgewines.com. Sold exclusively online and proud to be official wine of Australian PropTech. So you're active you've got a lot of South Australian or a growing number of South Australian agents joining the platform.
Yep. And Western Australia. Yep. Western Australia and Queensland, because they're the contract-led states. Yeah. So right, Queensland as well.
And so what about the other states? What are your plans for rollout in those states?
So we'll be, so now it's just a matter of, we've mapped out the workflows in New South Wales and Victoria, and we're now just working with some agents to work out how the product would work. Because some obviously being not a contract leads to what we call contract agent leads, where they actually fill out the contract. It just changes the platform and what the best workflow is. So we've done that. So hopefully we'll be in the new year. We'll be in New South Wales and Victoria.
Yeah. Are you looking for agents to trial or to beta it for you?
We are, yes. So we'd love some beta agents. We've got a couple that we've spoken to already. So shout out to any agents out there that would love to beta test. We'd love to. We'll look after you. We promise.
Yeah, cool. We'll put how to contact you in the show notes.
Okay, excellent.
And what about Tassie? Because Tassie's still very private treaty led as well.
Absolutely. So we've been talking to Mark Berry in REI Tasmania, and we've just actually been down there recently. And we did a presentation to the REI board, and we're just going through that process now of making sure. And so I've got a couple of agents down there really, really keen to try it already, because obviously in the country there's a lot of driving. Yeah. There's some really agents that are keen to test it down there. Yeah, and Northern Territory as well. So Quentin as well in Northern Territory. So because so we'll be it'll just be a matter of making sure, because obviously every state's different with the legislation, and making sure it's good to go in those states. But
because you're connected to REI forms, if it's tied into the forms, you guys have got a pretty good understanding of the process that it's got to
absolutely
go through.
Absolutely. And that's that press of that button, that's what we want, and they can just go get to contract or have a statement of information that could be sent to the New South Wales and Victoria, to be statement of information that could be sent to the conveyancer, and having all the details in there. I mean, I think agents have been really surprised